Hey, in this video I'll be talking about how to do shadow work for aggression and anger. So this is a very misunderstood emotion. However, as you're going to find out, it's a very powerful emotion, and if you don't have it integrated, you are going to be pretty much powerless, right? You're not going to be able to change your life. You're not going to be able to move your life forward. You're not ever going to be able to really enjoy your life without integrating this emotion, right? So I know this emotion gets a bad rap, but I'm going to try to frame it in another way and show you how it can be healthy when it's integrated, when we do that with consciousness, right? So first of all, I want to talk about just anger in general. Now, most of us feel like anger is a very destructive, harmful emotion, because it can be. We probably know or have known people who are destructive, have temper tantrums and can just be assholes, right? So that's how most of us identify anger and aggression. Now, that is not good. Obviously, that's not a healthy expression. You need to understand this. On the opposite side, we have someone who's repressed all their aggression and repressed all their anger, and this might be a symptom of trauma, right? And what happens with these people, they don't know it, but they've pushed their aggression and anger down so much that they don't think they ever get angry, or they never get angry, right? And that is not healthy either. Usually that's done because you saw someone who was overly aggressive and you just thought, I don't want to be like that, so you repressed all this powerful energy down. But unfortunately, when that happens, you become a bit of a pushover, you become soft, right? You lack power. Integrated aggression is power, it's drive, it's focus, it's courage and confidence, right? But if you're someone who repressed that for whatever reason, then you're going to be someone who just fails to take action. You can't change your life, you can't move it forward because you're missing something. And it actually consumes a lot of your energy to keep that aggression repressed. So this is where we need to start to work with it. You might see a lot of guys as well, especially in the 21st century, where we talk about nice guys, the sort of guy who always gets friend zoned or struggles to say no to people, he gets walked all over or bullied. So that's someone, in my opinion, hasn't integrated their aggression at all. It's completely repressed, right? And maybe the society and the culture have taught us generally that we shouldn't be aggressive because being aggressive is being an asshole. But it is if it's destructive. I'm not saying be destructive with it. I'm showing you how to own your power. You have no power unless this emotion is integrated. So there's nothing, virtuous about being someone who's just never gets angry, right? I used to be that person. Never ever used to get angry, thought I was just some cool guy. But in reality, I was suffering with a lot of mental health problems. Anxiety, depression, stress, even health issues can all be a symptom of repressed aggression. So when you begin to work with this emotion, you'll start to resolve a lot of your mental health problems as well. Because if you think about it, aggression is a very powerful energy, right? Naturally, it can attack. We see that in overly aggressive people. So if we don't find a healthy channel for it, guess who it's going to attack? It's going to attack us. It gets internalized. Like I said, anxiety, depression, inner critic, always feeling like you're not good enough. That's you attacking yourself, right? That's that aggressive energy which needs to be worked with. Now, I do want to share with you a couple of exercises that you can do to begin to work with this powerful energy and begin to integrate it. But just quickly, I want to talk about why it's such a big problem. Now, I think I've mentioned this in other videos. That is, emotions are all natural part of our being, right? There's nothing wrong with any of them. Anger specifically was necessary for the human being thousands of years ago to survive. Without it, we wouldn't have made it. There was too many predators. Life was too dangerous. We would have starved to death. So we used and needed this powerful energy, because that's what it is, in order to get our survival needs met, right? Understand that this is a powerful force, a powerful aspect of your life force. So if you're cut off from that, you're cut off from a large part of your life force, from your true sense of self. Now fast forward to 2021, and we live in a much safer world, generally speaking. Most of us have our basic needs met. We're not constantly under threat. There's not predators out there trying to get us. So what happens? We still have this emotional energy because we haven't evolved enough. We haven't changed that much. We're still pretty much very primitive. So what happens to this emotion? It gets shamed by society, it gets shamed by culture, and it gets repressed. So we end up powerless, we end up depressed, anxious, worried, ill. If you want to read more about the illness aspect, check out Gabor Mate's book, When the Body Says No. And a big part of that book is people who do not express all their emotions get physically sick. Like, it's backed by science, so highly recommend you check that book out. It's one I'm reading right now, and it's very interesting. So the reason you need to integrate your aggression is literally going to save your life. But not only that, like I said, it's going to help you change your life, because without it, you're not going to be able to change anything. You're going to lack the courage, the drive, the focus you need to move your life forward. So when we integrate it, we don't become an aggressive arsehole. Do not think that for 1 second. You have more power to take action to change your life. You become more assertive, let's say. So if on one end we have this passive person who's never angry, on the other end we have this overly aggressive, angry person, we want to be somewhere in the middle where it's integrated. And we use it because we understand it's a part of our life force. And without it, we're powerless. Nobody wants to be powerless. This is for men and for women. So now I want to share with you 2 exercises that I recommend you can try out just to get you familiar with working with this powerful energy. I will say that it is a very volatile energy. You might have a lot of fear associated with it, especially if you're someone who repressed it in the past. So you are probably going to have to work with some of these other emotions before you can really tap into it. Because if you're repressed, there's a good possibility you repressed that emotion when you were much younger, maybe out of fear. You were maybe afraid when you saw other people's aggression. So what I've learned about aggression is it can get coupled with other negative emotions. The big 3, I think, is aggression or anger with fear and resentment and hatred. So these kind of emotions are quite closely related. Think about the energy behind hatred. There can be a lot of strong energy there. It's another form for that aggressive energy to get expressed unconsciously. When you integrate it, you lose the hatred, the resentment, the fear. Okay, so it's so important that you do this work. Now let me get to the first exercise. The first exercise is one that I'm a big advocate of. It's something I talk a lot about, so I'm not going to go too much into it. It's simply to sit with your aggressive feelings. Obviously, depending on what side of the spectrum you fall on, it's going to be different. If you're someone who gets angered or triggered quite easily or from time to time, then for you, you need to acknowledge when you're angry, have enough consciousness to sit with it, not like being destructive with it and harming other people, but being with it. Literally sitting with it like you would in a meditation, right? Feeling all these powerful forces and all these impulses you've got running through you, right? You're actually closer, these people are actually closer to integration than the people who are repressed, in my opinion. If you are someone who gets overwhelmed with aggression and these strong feelings, sitting with them over time will just expand your conscious awareness until your awareness can almost contain that powerful feeling. When you reach that point, the feeling, the impulse, will lose its control over you, right? And from there, you'll be able to integrate it more. I want to share with you in the next exercise how we can integrate it more, but the first step is to sit with it. For the repressed people who rarely get angry, then you're really going to have to raise your awareness around little things like when you feel frustrated, when you feel resentment, or when you feel afraid, and understand that this is an expression of that aggression showing itself to you. So you need to sit with them feelings and hold in mind that you're trying to get to the aggression. As long as you hold that in your conscious mind, you will start to break through these other layered emotions that are kind of almost masking it for someone who's repressed. But like I said, for the repressed people, it may be potentially harder to access the emotion, but you can do it. Okay, so that takes me on to the second exercise for integrating your aggression and anger, and that is to find a way to express it, but not in a destructive or harmful way. Find a way to express it that becomes that helps you to integrate it at the same time. Now, if you're familiar with bioenergetics and some other kind of body psychotherapies from the 70s and 60s, they used to talk a lot about catharsis, which is like beating a pillow or hitting a punch bag or just hitting something, right? And that can help you get that aggression out, but it's not very integrative, right? It doesn't help you integrate it. That's really not the healthiest way to make it a part of who you are. So I suggest you find some activity, something productive that allows you to tap into that and channel the aggression into what you're doing. So if I give you an example, a simple example to start with would be, say, working out, right? When you're working out, get angry and start to channel that aggression into your workout. Not only will you have a more productive workout, you'll probably feel even 10 times better than you normally do after the workout, because you're tapping into some raw power. Do this for a while and you're starting to integrate it, but you do need to take it a step further, because through working out is still too raw. But once you've done that to begin with, I suggest you pick activities and exercises, things that you can do where you consciously begin to channel that aggression into what you're doing. Whether it's something you're doing at work or pursuing a goal or writing or drawing or singing, I don't know, whatever it is that you do, begin to connect to it and channel it into your performance. Or whether you're playing a sport, that's a great one. It's easy to channel that aggression into a sport. Okay, so find these outlets, and what you'll start to do over time, you'll start to integrate it. It'll become a part of your personality, and that's when it's healthy, right? That's when it's integrated. That's when you're assertive. Healthy anger doesn't break other people's boundaries, doesn't impede on other people's boundaries. You have a right sometimes to be angry, right? It doesn't mean you are intruding on other people. It's your right. That's your power, right? Everybody has it. Don't be overly aggressive, an arsehole. Be centered. Okay, that's really what this is. It's bringing you back to the center. No emotions are negative or positive. They're all energy that needs to be integrated, which is all effectively your life force, right? So the more you think these emotions are bad and you cut them off, you're just cutting off aspects of yourself. You're losing powerful energy that could really help you change your life. Okay, so that is everything I have to talk about in a video. If you have anything to add or any comments, any questions, I'd love to hear them. Hit me up in the comments down below. If you did enjoy the video, if you could go ahead, please give it a like, share, subscribe. It does really help me out. Check out my book, link in the description down below. But until next time, remember to keep living free and being free. Peace.